Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside American Tank Ace, 1944 to 1945. This is a game designed by Gregory M. Smith and published by Compass Games. Well, this has been a hotly anticipated release by many people since it was first announced. Greg's done subs, he's done aircraft, and now he's doing tanks. So it's great to see him adding some armor, something he knows very, very well, into his line of solitaire games. And you know it's a Greg Smith game, it's a solitaire game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fast moving. It's going to create a great narrative, and it's very absorbing. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. American Tank Ace 1944 to 45 is a solitaire tactical level game that places you in command of a U.S. tank during World War II in the European theater of operations. You will make the tactical decisions a tank commander faced and control the actions of your crew while trying to survive. You will be assigned missions to attack, defend, or conduct movement to contact depending on the current tactical situation. As time progresses and players survive, they may use the experience gained to improve their odds of success by purchasing skills. As their prestige increases, they may request improved versions of the Sherman tank when they suffer the loss of their previous tank. Awards and promotions help to narrate the player's eventual goal to survive the war and help defeat Nazi Germany. Players will find it extremely challenging to survive an entire tour from June 1944 to April 1945, at which time the game ends. You will start with one of the tank models available to the Army at the start of the game, but as your fame and prestige rise, more advanced tanks will be available to choose from. Gameplay moves quickly. Once you have your initial tank and commander, play proceeds by rolling for a mission and conducting it. Enemy forces range from penal units all the way up to SS and Fallschirmjäger and are randomly generated, ensuring no two careers will ever be the same. Combat is swift and sometimes deadly, as most of the German panzers, SPGs, and AT guns can destroy your tank. Terrain and weather also have an impact on operations as well as smoke. Players must pay attention to hull down status, the orientation of their hull and turret, and decide when it is prudent to button up. Artillery and mortar fire can sometimes support either side, and random events will add to the uncertainty of combat. When each mission is completed, assuming you have survived, you will ascertain if any rewards have been earned or experience points gained. Promotion is also possible, which has the advantage of allowing for artillery and mortar support. You may also upgrade your tank if you have sufficient prestige to get a better model. Otherwise, you will continue fighting in your starting tank until it is knocked out. While American Tank Ace is designed as a solitaire gaming experience, additional options for play are provided for both multiplayer cooperative and competitive gaming sessions. And over here on the right, it gives you the tanks that are going to be available in the game. We have various iterations of the M4 Sherman, the standard M4 Sherman, the early, late, the 76, 76W, 76W HVSS, the Jumbo 75, Jumbo 76, Easy 8, and then the M26 Pershing. Components, we get 1.5 sheets of 9/16 inch counters, 5 tank display mats, which are double-sided, so we get 10 tanks, 4 player aid cards, 1 crew status display mat, an 8.5 by 11 battle board, 1 operational display, a rule book, 1 mission log sheet, a 10-sided and 2 6-sided die, and of course the game box and a lid. The complexity is rated as 4 out of 10, time scale semi-abstract, map scale is abstract, unit scale individual tanks, crewmen, enemy vehicles, anti-tank guns, and ammo. Number of players, it's obviously for 1 player being that it's a solitaire game, and it is designed here for solitaire, so suitability is very, very high. Average time to play is 10 to 15 minutes for a single mission, 4 to 5 hours for a full career, and it is recommended for ages 14 and up. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we have our bag of baggies, our dice, sealed for freshness, rule book, mission log sheets, all the player aids and charts, tanks, our counter sheets, which are wrapped because they'll fall out otherwise, and then our mounted operations map as well as the battle board. So let's take a closer look at all the components. Next, we'll take a look at the operations map and the battle board. Both of these are mounted. At the top, we have the operations map, and that'll give you a listing of the different operations that you can be part of during the game. We have St. Lo, Op Cobra, Aracourt, The Bulge, Siegfried Line, Op Grenade, and Rhineland. On the right-hand side, we have the sequence of play that you can follow along with during the game. Then we have the battle board, which is the heart of the game. This and your tank mat is where you're going to be spending the majority of your time. Your vehicle is going to be here, and it's going to be moving in and out along the center line. You're going to have enemy that's going to be around you, including moving up into flanking maneuvers on either side. You can track your current mission here. The different weather we're going to have, like snow, mud, rain, and clear. And then the current terrain, urban, bocage, woods, and open. It's laid out very clean, very easy to read, and I really do like that they're both mounted for this game. Next, we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. We start off with the A1 mission assignment chart. You roll 2d6, and this will tell you the mission that you're going to get. There are 5 different types of missions. We have movement to contact, attack, assault, defense, and then refit. Now, refit may sound a little boring because it is what it is. You get replacements, you're getting your vehicle repaired, rearmed, things like that. But the best part about it is when you get the refit, it does count as a successful mission. And to win the game with the highest level you can, you have to complete between 31 and 40 missions. So while that refit may not sound like a great thing, it actually is good as far as advancing your overall career. So don't be too upset when you get those missions because it's moving you one tick closer to ultimate victory. Below that, we have the weather chart, which tells you what the weather is going to be based on your 2d6 roll. And then the modifiers those will give you on the left-hand side. Then at the very bottom, we have the enemy troop quality chart. It will tell you the enemy quality. You'll have low quality, Wehrmacht, or elite troops. And then the secondary roll will tell you what type of troops. For low quality morale, you get Volksgrenadier, Ost, or Penal. There's no secondary roll for the Wehrmacht. And then at the bottom, for elite troops, you'll face either Fallschirmjäger or SS. On the back, we have the enemy force generation chart. Again, a 2d6 roll. This is going to tell you, based on the time, whether it's June and July 44, August, September 44, and so on, it'll tell you the types of troops you'll be facing, and it will change as the war progresses. You roll your 2d6, and it'll tell you, like for number 5, 2 AT, 2 infantry, so you can have 2 anti-tank, 2 infantry. Then you're going to roll a 1d10 down here, and we had 2 anti-tanks, so you roll your 1d10, and you'll get to determine which pack you're going to be facing against 2 of those, as well as your 2 infantry. Below that, we have the terrain chart, and that's going to change, of course, based on the time. June and July is going to be a lot of bocage and woods because, obviously, just at the beginning there after the invasion of Normandy, and then you move all the way across where it's all woods and open, and then there's even a chance that you will be in urban terrain at the end of the war. On the next sheet, we get the main gun anti-tank to hit chart, the high explosive machine gun attack chart, and then the main gun AT penetration chart. On the back, we have infantry versus tank Panzerfaust chart, immobilized from movement, hull down after movement, and the fire bailout and the wound charts at the bottom. Then we have the skill effects listing and cost chart, as well as the event check chart. On the back, we have the command summary, which gives you a listing of all the different types of commands and their explanations that you can do as tank commander of your vehicle. On the next sheet, we have the Fort Knox training, where you're going to go to tank school. At the very beginning, you're going to be rolling dice to conduct your training and seeing what benefits you get from them. Then you have your spare time activities, such as extra physical training, extra study time, and then extra carousing. I think this one's really cool. You get into a fight, and it actually gains you prestige. Then we have war trophies and trades at the bottom. On the back, we have the random event chart and the serious wound resolution chart. On the next sheet, we have what Greg always calls the Kendall, and this is where you're going to be keeping track of your skills, war trophies, all these things that you will accumulate during the course of the war, so that way you can tell your story. You have your unit here, your trade items, your rank on either side, the different unit awards, and then the different medals that you earn. There's a special place for the Medal of Honor as expected, your prestige level, your war trophies on the right-hand side, as well as your XP and prestige points on the left. And then these skills for your crew, your tank commander, gunner, driver, a driver, and then the loader. Since the front was the NCO side, on the back we have the commissioned officer side. Same thing as you saw on the front. Next, we'll take a look at the tank display mats. There are 10 different tanks in the game on 5 double-sided sheets. We start off with the M4A1 early. You see here there's no prestige level required. You'll notice as we go along that there are going to be different prestige levels required before you can get that vehicle. Any applicable notes to that vehicle at the top left, then below that, random events. You have your turret facing, left, center, and right. Then we have the radio command, giving you a radio status. You have your track status here on either side of the vehicle, and then in the center, you're going to be able to keep track of any damage to the different stations on your tank. Then the disposition of your tank. Are you traveling in open country or are you in hull down? The top right, we have the ready rack, and this is where you're going to stow all your ammo. And then you have the loaded round itself in your gun tube. Below that, we have another stowage, limited ammo for both your smoke and your white phosphorus. And at the bottom right, we have the machine guns for the commander, the gunner, and the A driver. You'll also notice here the armor values. You have your turret, hull, and side, 6, 5, and 4. And as we go through the different vehicles, you'll be able to see that changes as the armor values enhance throughout the war. On the back, we have another M4. Then we get to the M4A176. When you get to the 76 millimeter gun, notice here it says prestige level required is 2, and it is also available as of July 1944. Then we have the M4A1 late. This requires a prestige level of 1, and it is also available at start. So if you can get that early prestige at the very beginning, you can then choose to go with the M4A1 late. Then we have the M4A176W. This has a prestige level of 3, and it is available as of July 1944. Then we have the M4A176 HVSS, prestige level of 4, and it is also available in July of 1944. Then we have the M4A3 Echo 2, the Jumbo 75, that is available as of October 1944, and has a prestige level requirement of 4. On the back, we have the M4A3 Echo 2, the Jumbo 76. This is available in March of 1945 and has a prestige level requirement of 4. Then we have the M4A3E8, the Easy 8. This has a prestige level requirement of 4, and it is available as of December 1944. And lastly, for very late in the game, we have the M26. This has a prestige level requirement of 5, and it is available as of March 1945. Then we have the mission log sheet, which is very familiar to anybody who's played any of Greg Smith's other games. This is a way for you to keep track of the successes and failures of each scenario that you play throughout the game. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. On this first one here, it's primarily your status trackers that you're going to be using for your vehicle, as well as some for the battle board. On the next sheet, we have some more administrative counters at the top, as well as the different German units that you'll be facing at the bottom. Next, we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 28-page full-color rulebook, and the first thing I got to say is, just like on the cover of the box, which I failed to mention before, Matt White's art is just outstanding in this game. So big shout out to Matt. He really made a beautiful cover for this game. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the different rules and their associated page numbers. Then we get into the introduction, how to play the game, game equipment. It's going to explain to you how to read the different tank mats, the battle board, operational display, your crew status chart, or your Kendall, as Greg likes to call it, the game markers. Then we get into the mission log sheet, charts and tables, your map markers, then the game setup on page 7. Explains to you how to get everything set up to start your game. There's the tank mat that we had looked at, different types of ammunition, changing your vehicles, major events, Fort Knox Tank School, prepare your crew status. Then we get to how to win the game. And remember before I was saying about refits, while they're not sexy and you don't do anything, they do count towards your missions. And decisive victory is 31 plus missions. So if you get a few of those refits, they will count towards that 31 number that you need to get for the decisive victory. Tank Commander Death, sequence of play starting on page 10. It's going to walk you through all steps of the sequence of play. Then we get into combat and the different types of missions that you can get. Movement to contact, attack, assault, defend, and then refit like we were just talking about. General combat procedures, how you fire at your targets, reload the ready rack, move forward, move to hull down, angle the hull, all these things that you can do as your commands. Specific combat situations and definitions, hull down, buttoned up, frontal and flanking fire, smoke effects, firepower rating and penetration. Then we have shock and interior fragmentation. Now, we've all seen these movies where these tanks just take these rounds, they bounce off and they just continues on and everything's peachy keen. Well, that's not really the case in the real world because you have that soft center, the people inside. That's what this is going to model. If you get the hit and it doesn't penetrate, you can still suffer shock, and that's going to be reflected by your commander losing an action. There's also the chance that you can get what's called spalling, where the armor does not get penetrated per se, but it does hit it with enough force and shock that the interior armor will flake off and act as essentially fragmentation, which will injure the crew. And that is actually what happens with tanks. Then we have tank vehicle damage, infantry losses, your mission end crew injuries, injury duration and effects, call for fire, because you will get some opportunity to call for fire. Crew skills, all the different types of crew skills that you have and how that will affect each of those positions. Then we have an example of play on page 19. Awards, promotions, prestige trophies. You see already we're at the end of the rules at page 19, and it started about, I think, page 10, I think it was, where we started a sequence of play. Yeah, so not a really deep rule set, really easy to understand. Just like all of Greg's games, they're pretty straightforward to understand and get you into playing, and that's what you want to have. You want to have something that's easy to get to the table and you can have a lot of fun with. And each of these scenarios run in about 10-15 minutes. 5 if you're not lucky. You definitely don't want to have that. But we have the awards, promotions, prestige trophies, random events, optional rules. And the optional rules, you have multiplayer, cooperative play, competitive play, and the increased threat targeting. Then we have the game credits, designer's notes, and a dedication to Major Michael Mundell, United States Army, fellow armor officer, husband, father, and friend. He was killed in Fallujah in 2007. Rest easy, bud. Nice dedication from Greg to his friend. And we have the tank unit notes, a real American tank ace, Lafayette G. Poole. Then we have the different armor divisions, 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th, 37th Tank Battalion, and the 40th Tank Battalion, as well as the 66th, 67th, 69th, and the 761st. Then there is the selected bibliography if you'd like to read more. And we have the counter manifest. And then on the back of the rules, we have the sequence of battle. And that is a look at everything you get inside of American Tank Ace, 1944 to 1945. This is a game designed by Gregory M. Smith and published by Compass Games. Well, it's great to see this finally done and on the table here, and really looking forward to getting this one going and just creating a really cool story as you fight through the war. That's what Greg's games do the best. They create this narrative and they make these tight decisions that you have to make in different sections. Like one of the ones that I said earlier is don't overlook your hull down. When we were playing at Expo last year, there was a situation that was like, hey, I can either continue on or go to hull down. And I just had this feeling it's time for hull down. And I did, and that shot just zipped past my head because I was in hull down. If I wasn't, I would have been dead. So it's the little things like that that you remember, that stick with you, that create this connection to the game. The narratives will help create the connection to the game. And that's one of the things, the gifts that Greg has. He makes you connect with the subject matter, whether it's subs, aircraft, or now tanks. And that's what I really look forward to with his games the most. Not only are they fun mechanically, but it's the narratives that are generated from the decisions you make and the events that happen, the things that happen to you as you move along and you start getting attached to your crew that only exists in your head and on paper. But that, again, is what is so much fun about these types of games. And there are decisions here. These are not just roll and see what happens, follow along adventures. That's, again, where Greg is just top of the heap when it comes to solitaire games. And if you're still waiting for your copy of the game in the mail, don't forget to check out the Learn to Play. That's going to walk you through all the aspects of the game and make it easier for you to get it to the table once it arrives. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.